A harsh winter storm swept across the Arizona plains, swallowing the horizon in sheets of white wind. Cole Maddox, a quiet cowboy known for keeping to himself, sat inside his small log cabin with only the fire for company. The wind groaned through the cracks in the wooden walls, reminding him how far he was from town, from noise, from anything except silence. He wasn't expecting visitors. No one traveled in weather like this unless they had no other choice. A sudden knock struck the door, loud, steady, and strong enough to rattle the hinges. Cole froze mid-movement, staring at the door as if it might open on its own. Travelers were rare. People knocking during storms was unheard of. For a moment, he wondered if it was just a loose branch or the wind. But the knock came again, even firmer this time. Cole slowly opened the door, and a rush of icy air burst through. His breath caught when he saw the figure standing in the snow. A woman, towering, broad-shouldered, wrapped in layers of fur and traditional Apache cloth, stood completely still, as if the storm didn't touch her. She was taller than any man Cole had ever met. Taller than anyone he'd seen in stories or legends. Snowflakes clung to her long braids, and her sharp, calm eyes met his with a look that felt more like a test than a greeting. Without waiting for an invitation, she stepped inside his cabin, her presence filling the small room in a way that made Cole instinctively take a step back. She shook snow from her shoulders, glanced around as if assessing the space, and then turned toward him, standing so straight it seemed she could brush the ceiling. "I am Nalinah," she said, her voice steady and deep with authority. "I need your help." Cole blinked, still trying to process the fact that this giant of a woman had stepped into his lonely cabin in the middle of a blizzard. "Ma'am, you must have taken a wrong turn. I'm no one important." Nalinah shook her head once. "You are the tracker who follows signs others miss." "I came for you." Cole's heart thumped. He had heard rumors, stories about an Apache bride warrior who traveled between tribes, someone whose height and strength made her a living legend. He always assumed people exaggerated, yet here she was, real as the fire flickering between them, and she had come asking for him. Whatever quiet life Cole thought he was living ended the moment she walked through his door. Morning came slowly, like the sun was unsure whether it wanted to rise after such a fierce storm. The world outside Cole's cabin was covered in a thick blanket of snow, soft and untouched except for the tracks made by the horses tied under the overhang. Cole wrapped his coat tighter around himself and joined Nalinah outside, still trying to understand why someone like her had come looking for someone like him. Nalinah stood scanning the horizon, her posture calm but alert, as if she was listening to the land itself. When she finally spoke, her words were direct. A young member of her tribe, a boy barely old enough to begin scouting, had gone missing near outlaw territory. The storm had wiped away most of the tracks, and the other trackers couldn't pick up the trail again. She believed Cole could. She spoke with such certainty that Cole felt more responsible with every word. They set out before the sun fully cleared the hills. Cole rode his horse while Nalinah moved easily on foot beside him, her long strides matching the horse's pace with surprising ease. She studied everything, the direction of the wind, the way the snow settled on bushes, the faint indentations where the ground dipped. Cole realized quickly that while she wanted his help, she was far from helpless. She understood the land deeply. Hours passed, but Cole kept his eyes sharp. Every broken branch, every shifted rock told part of a story. When he spotted a scraped patch of bark on a juniper tree, he stopped. "Someone brushed past here," he said. A few steps farther, he found a shallow print under the snow, too small for a grown man's boot. "The boy came this way." Nalinah nodded without hesitation. "Good, we follow." As they continued, the trail became clearer, a piece of torn cloth, a footprint pressed deeper where someone stumbled, and markings on a slope where someone had slid down. Cole's confidence grew, and so did Nalinah's trust in him. Eventually, they reached a rocky ridge overlooking a hidden canyon. Smoke rose from below, thin but steady. Cole's stomach tightened. "Outlaws must be down there. Looks like a camp." Nalinah studied the direction of the smoke, her eyes narrowing. "Then the boy is likely with them." Cole felt the weight of the moment settle heavily inside him. A quiet cowboy and a towering Apache warrior were about to walk into danger together. But he knew one thing for certain: they weren't turning back. Night settled over the canyon like a heavy blanket, swallowing the last traces of daylight. Cole and Nalinah crouched behind a stack of boulders, their breaths forming pale clouds in the cold air. Below them, the outlaw camp flickered with orange firelight, shadows shifting as the men moved around. The wind carried the faint sounds of laughter, metal pans clinking, and the restless stomp of horses tied near the wagons. Cole felt a knot in his stomach. There were more outlaws than he expected. Near the largest wagon, a small figure sat with his back against a wheel, hands loosely tied, head drooping from exhaustion. Even from this distance, Cole could tell it was the missing boy. He wasn't hurt, just cold and scared. That alone was enough to make Cole want to rush in, but he knew that would end badly. Nalinah watched the camp with focused, steady eyes. She didn't fidget or pace. She simply observed, as if studying the movements of the outlaws would reveal the safest path. Cole whispered, "We're outnumbered. We can't fight them." Nalinah gave a small nod. "We don't need to. We need distraction and timing." She pointed to a thin ridge. Above the camp, a narrow stone shelf that ran the length of the canyon wall. If Cole climbed up there and made noise, the outlaws would be drawn away long enough for her to get the boy out. It sounded simple, but the ridge was unstable, and Cole wasn't exactly eager to be the center of attention. Still, the plan was their best chance. Cole climbed quietly, hands gripping cold rock, boots sliding on patches of snow. When he reached the ridge, he steadied himself and picked up a loose stone. His heart thumped loud enough that he feared the outlaws might hear it. With a deep breath, he threw the stone toward the far end of the canyon. It clattered down the rocks loud and sharp. Shouts erupted below as lanterns swung around wildly. Several outlaws grabbed rifles and hurried toward the noise, exactly as Cole hoped. While they investigated the sound, Nalinah moved swiftly through the shadows, her height surprisingly helpful for stepping over creaking boards and loose tools. She reached the boy, cut his ropes, and placed a steady hand on his shoulder to guide him away. A lantern briefly swung toward her direction, but a sudden gust of wind blew it out before the light revealed anything. Cole let out a breath he didn't realize he was holding. Minutes later, Nalinah and the boy slipped behind the rocks where Cole waited. By dawn, they were miles from the camp, safe among quiet stretches of snow and open land. The boy rode beside them, relieved and grateful. Nalinah turned to Cole with a rare, full smile. "We succeeded because we trusted each other," she said. Cole tipped his hat, proud and humbled. Whatever reputation he thought he didn't have, today he had earned something far more meaningful: respect, and the knowledge that even an ordinary cowboy could help change someone's life.